right, everybody, we are back, and it's still Kelly Vaughn. No,
That's
no,
fine.
I fixed it. I fixed you. Why are you doing this to me? I know that I did this right. Let me try to get it to. Can I like force a reload?
There should be something down at the bottom that you can. Oh, no.
Nope. I broke it all. It's a website, and I apparently have something cached that shouldn't be cached. So hello, everyone. This is also not Kelly Vaughn. This is Brian Robinson. Brian, thank you for joining us. How are you? How are you? How's it going?
I'm good. I imagine I'm a sight bit more refreshed than you are after a few hours of live streaming, but I've been enjoying it, watching along as it kind of happens. So I'm doing good.
I mean, I'm feeling great. I'm looking forward to. This is a heavy week, so we're doing 3 of these today. We've got the regular Learn with Jason show tomorrow. We've got 2 more Jamstack Conf sessions on Wednesday, so make sure you mark your calendar for that, everybody. We have the regular Learn with Jason on Thursday, and because of a reschedule, we also have a special Learn with Jason on Friday. So we're going to be streaming every single day this week. There is a lot going on. I am probably going to sleep all day Saturday. It's going to be great. But yes, okay, so everybody, what we're going to do this time is something that I am super excited about. Brian, do you want to give us kind of an overview of what the project is?
Sure. So obviously, you have some lovely buttons that do some amazing things that you've set up with Rob and Kelly. But buttons are lame. So let's do some power user work, right? Let's give an input bar that a user can use to discover additional powers on the site, right? Because Algolia is all about search, but search and discovery. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up an autocomplete bar that a user can type into. They'll be able to discover commands. So in this case, we're going to set up one to actually ingest the email to one of your serverless functions,
Mm-hmm.
and then do an action based on that. So in this case, it's going to hit that serverless function. So in my mind, we're going to allow a user to slap their email address, and they're going to slap that email address over to your serverless function. So they'll type /slap and then space an email address, and then that'll just send off. And I've
Love
got
it.
some swag points for later if we get there. But that's the basics.
All right. Let's do this. So I'm going to switch us over into the pair programming view. Um, Still Kelly. I
Still
don't know.
Kelly,
I don't know what's going
not
on,
Kelly.
everybody. I'm sorry.
Brian.
Uh, you know, code is hard.
It is. And code with live video, even harder.
Trying to do I'm like pushing hot fixes in the 15-minute breaks between shows. Like, it's all good. It's all good. This is going to be great. So okay, to date, what we've accomplished is just to show everybody here. We have our site running, and so I'm running it locally, running Netlify Dev, and it is functionality to create and add items to a cart. We can check out that cart on Shopify. So we've got our cart here. If I go to checkout, it takes me over to a Shopify thingy. And then if I go to my Postman, I can claim swag. And if I'll use my own email here, we can claim that swag. And it sends back a coupon code, right? So this is what you want to call. We're going to call this function using Algolia here, or using the autocomplete library.
Yep.
And that's because there's currently no way to actually get this coupon code, right? Like there's nowhere to do it on the website. So we're going to make it a power user feature, which I am very excited about.
Yeah.
So what
Ready?
should my first step be?
So the first step is we need to actually do some installing. I'm gonna go ahead
Okay.
and ramp us up and get us everything we need to install just for time, because I know that
Sure.
we are in a crunch. So a few libraries we need. First, since we're going to be doing this in React and we're in Astro, we need Astro's React renderer. So we're going to npm install astro.js/renderer-react.
Okay.
And we can just do it multiple. Oh, you're going to say that to dev. Okay. And then the two other things we're going to need are going to be at Algolia/autocomplete-js. That's the autocomplete library. This is fully open source. You can use it with Algolia. It works amazing with Algolia, but it works with really any data source. So anything's going to work here. And then we also need at Algolia/autocomplete-theme-classic. And this is just going to do some styling for us since we don't have time to style it ourselves.
Okay. Anything else?
And that should be all we need, I'm pretty sure.
All right.
So why don't is that already done? Wow. You got some nice internet connection.
I definitely let people drill holes in my house to put fiber in here.
Yep. I would if I could. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into the project, and we need to create a component. Okay. So we're going to, in our components folder, we need to create an autocomplete.jsx. And the cool thing about Astro is it's going to let us use really any front end, right? So we've got, you're using Preact. I'm going to use React. If we wanted Vue, we could toss a Vue component in and it would all kind of work together.
Absolutely.
So we need to go ahead and import a lot of what we got. Usually I would do this kind of step-by-step in a tutorial, but let's import some big statements here. So we need some React stuff. So we're going to import React, and then we're also going to destructure in an object a few things. We need create element, we need fragment, use effect, and use ref. And those will all become clear later on. But mainly create element is going to be the method we're going to use to create the autocomplete stuff. Fragment's going to be what is built for that. And then we use effect and use ref for actually mounting it and all that good stuff. So we also need from React DOM, which I forgot to have you install. Apologies. We do need React DOM as well. We need the render method from React DOM.
Okay.
Fiber.
Yeah. Render from React DOM.
Yep. And two more things we need. We need autocomplete from our autocomplete library. So import autocomplete.
Autocomplete.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Perfect.
It auto-completed my autocomplete import.
The fun thing is you start seeing the autocomplete pattern everywhere. As it turns out, autocorrect on your phone, an autocomplete pattern. And then we need those styles that we got too. So we need to import the autocomplete theme classic.
Okay, got it. Perfect. And then what?
Now we need to go ahead and make our component. So we're going to export a function called autocomplete and pass it its props.
Okay, so it does need some props.
Yep. Okay. And then inside this, we're going to do a few things. First, we need to set up a container ref. So we're going to set const container ref equals use ref.
Anything in the null ref?
I think we just need null. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if we need it, but I think we might. And then we're going to actually initialize our autocomplete. So const search equals, and this is going to be the autocomplete method we imported. So autocomplete parentheses, and then it's going to take a configuration object. So inside that object, we need to tell it what container to be hooked to. So container : container ref.current.
Okay.
And then we have to specify a renderer. By default, it uses Preact, but some of the Preact and Astro were giving me some fits. So we're going to use React's version of everything. Okay. So that's an object that's going to have create element, which is the method it's going to use, and fragment.
And so create element.
Just pass those two. Yep.
And fragment like that?
Perfect. Yep. Exactly like that.
Oh, so we're like forcing the, I got it. Okay.
We're telling autocomplete what renderer to use.
Got it.
Yep. And then next up, we're going to use autocomplete's render method. I'm being very, very explicit about that. So it's render parentheses. So we're not actually it's not a property. So yep, function. There we go. Okay. And then as arguments, it's going to take an object at the beginning that's going to be the children, and then the root after that. So like outside, yeah.
Oh, as a second
argument, yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then this is a function. So inside the function, this is where things get slightly confusing. We're going to use React DOM's render method inside of here. So this is setting up how things are going to render. So naming is the hardest thing in dev, as we all know. We have two renders on the page. It's fine. So inside this, we're going inside the next render call inside of this. It's going to accept two arguments, children and root, but this time children without the object notation.
Like that?
Yep. And this is all boilerplate. We actually have a how to use autocomplete inside of React doc in the Algolia docs.
Okay.
This is all like copy and pastable from there.
Okay.
So after that, we can actually go ahead and close out of our autocomplete initialization, which you already kind of have, and we can go outside of that method call. I'm going to take us one step here, and we're going to make sure everything works.
Yeah, I got you.
So after that, we're going to go ahead and destroy it on cleanup. So we're going to return a function and use search.
Am I supposed to be in a use effect or something?
Oh, dang. Yep. I got way ahead of myself.
No worries. All right. So let's do a use effect. And is this only on initialization?
Yes. Actually, check for props in case we need to pass props. We don't actually in this case, but if props change, we want to keep an eye out for that.
Okay. And then we're just going to move all of this in here.
All of that. Yep.
Okay. So we'll format
as well as that return statement.
A tiny bit more. And then for the return statement, we need to return some cleanup.
Yep, exactly. And that cleanup is just going to be, there's a destroy method on that search that we just created. So search.destroy as a function, and that will
that's ominous.
Clean up for us. It is. It's very Death Starian, but it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then outside of our use effect, we're going to return back basically our new component. So return a div with a ref of that container ref. Also, I appreciate chat has been working diligently to make sure that the submarine covers the Kelly Vaughn name. Thank you, chat. I appreciate that.
Not Kelly Vaughn. And honestly, given how this is working, let's just update here. We'll make it a dumpster fire because that's how this is going.
Perfect.
All right, y'all. So yeah, let's get this thing rolling here. We've got this autocomplete. Where should I put this?
So yeah, we had the component. We're going to add it to your index.astro so that we can decide where we want to go. In my playground, I put it above the two images, but you can kind of put it wherever you'd like.
Okay, so we're gonna go components and autocomplete.jsx.
Yep.
Okay, and then we're just sticking it wherever it needs to be. Is that right?
Yep. Exactly. I put it down inside your layout above your products, basically.
Right here.
Yep. And so we need to do a couple other things here. We can't just put autocomplete. It's not going to work properly. So first and foremost, it's not going to work as a server rendered component, right? As a static rendered component. It needs to be client visible, and you need to tell, I think you still need to do this in Astro. You need to tell it to use React to do that. So client:visible equals React.
Like that?
I think so. I had some fun with Astro for this. I'm pretty sure we need that. I could be wrong.
It doesn't like something that we did. You might have mismatching versions of React. And you know what we need to do? We gotta enable that renderer.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. In the config. You're absolutely right.
Astro renderer React. And then I'm gonna have to stop and restart that to get that to work.
Yep. Downside of the flexibility is there's some configuration that goes into it. Fingers crossed.
I did something wrong. Okay. Cannot find Astro renderer React. Did I typo that?
Let's see. Let me check.
Astro.js. That's my fault.
Astro.js. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Typos. Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah, good catch.
Chat's always faster than me at that stuff. Oh,
me too.
Okay, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. No such file or directory. Build React DOM.
We installed it. Did the install work?
Yeah, let's try it again. Says everything's in there. Let's make sure it actually worked. Here is our React DOM.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it again. Come on, do it.
You can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
It's doing it.
All right. Yeah.
There we go. All right. And now we have autocomplete.
It does nothing. Mm-hmm. We haven't told it to do anything yet, but it does have a nice little search icon, and it's going to fit 100% and all that good stuff. So the first thing we can do to make it a little bit easier to use is inside of index.astro, we can pass a prop to it. We can pass the placeholder prop, which is just a configuration item inside of, one more thing to do inside of autocomplete JSX. Sorry about this. Yeah, go ahead and add that in. I would say try/slap or something like that. But we need to actually pass in at the end of our search initialization. We need to spread the props into that.
Spread the props into what?
At the very end after the render statement. So we've got the render inside of use effect, inside the search right there. So then just spread props so that all those props get added in as like configuration objects. Yep.
Got it. Okay.
So if I weren't being fancy, we could have just put a placeholder property on that.
Look at that.
There it is. Try slap.
Okay.
So that's going to let users know kind of what they can play with. It gives them an example of the actions they can take.
I got you.
But we don't have a data in here yet, right?
Right.
So autocomplete assumes data. You need to have data to populate it. Oftentimes that comes from a database like an Algolia index or some sort of third-party API, but we're going to do things a little statically for our actions so we can have some functions attached to them. So back into our autocomplete.jsx.
Okay.
We're going to add a new property onto the configuration. All the stuff we're going to do is inside of that search autocomplete initialization area. So the next thing that we need to do.
Yeah.
Yep. So like before the prop spreading, we keep the prop spreading last just to keep things clean.
Okay.
So we need a few additional things. We need a set of sources. We need, where are my notes for this? A few things here. So we need, my code is a mess. We need sources, and then we need some templates and some other stuff inside those sources.
So I see one called get sources. Is it that?
That is exactly what we need.
Okay.
So inside of that, we're going to have that. So that's just a function. So that's done with the get sources method. And then really what that's going to do, actually, sorry, this is going to be get sources : and then it takes like an arrow function as it's, there we go.
I gotcha. Okay.
And then we can actually, instead of returning in the brackets, we're going to do an array. We're just going to return immediately out into an array for that.
Gotcha.
Yep. You could do other like mutations and stuff like that as you needed, but we don't need to do any of that. So each object in this get sources method is going to be basically a federated search for things, right? So we're going to create one source and we're going to give it a source ID. So an object with a source ID, and we're going to call this like actions.
Okay.
Yep. And then this is going to need a few additional things. We need a way to get the items, and we need a way to display the items.
Okay.
So the two things we need are a templates object and a get items method.
So a templates object and a get items method.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. So get items is what we're going to do first.
Okay.
Get items is a function. You can use any JavaScript you want inside of it. In this case, we're just going to return back a static array, but we could, in theory, go get some API calls. We could do some mutations, all that good stuff. But we're just going to return an array, and that array is going to have one object inside of it to begin with.
Okay, so this is going to return an array that has one object inside of it.
Yes. And then we're going to give this a few pieces of information. The first of which is going to be the label. Okay. Label is just a property. This is actually almost anything that we add in this object is custom named, right? None of these things have special meaning. We're just going to use them in various ways on this.
Okay.
So label could be name, it could be title, it could be anything we want. This is the label this is just what I've called it. And then in this case, we're going to have it be /slap.
So this is the command that we want to run.
It's the command that we want. I suppose we could call it command, but it's also kind of like the label.
Gotcha.
Yep. I like to have a little bit of a placeholder on this as well, so that we could give additional information about what they're going to do. So I would have placeholder as a string and then put a space in there just so we have things a little bit easier. And then I said like your address at email.com or something like that. Some sort of information for the user to know what they're going to be adding in here.
Okay.
Yep. And then that's actually all we need for this to show up.
Okay. And this is JavaScript, chat?
Yes, definitely JavaScript.
So that's all we need for this to show up. So if I save this,
Yep.
And
we're either going to error out or we're going to get. Okay. Let's see.
Do I need to reload?
Looks like it's trying. You shouldn't need to reload.
It's doing something. Do we need to
you
give
know
it a
what we've
template
done?
or anything?
I told you there were two things that we needed. We did one of them.
Okay.
We have our data. We need a display template for it. So inside of our templates object, there are multiple methods we can use inside of it. The one we're going to focus on right now is the item method.
Okay.
So inside this is just going to have an item.
An item, just one item.
So
like
yeah,
this?
so inside this, yep, as a function.
As a function.
Yep.
Okay.
There we go. It's going to take an argument. We need to destructure an object to just get the item. There's other things that get passed into the item, but into this we just need curly braces item.
Got it.
Yep. And then we can just return out a template for this, JSX, string, something like that. So why don't we return back paragraph with item.label for now. We don't want item because item's an object. We want item.label.
Okay.
And you can even put like dash item.placeholder or something like that. Or just put item.placeholder after so we can get both. But there it is.
Oh, and look, it's auto completing. I get it. But we're missing placeholder.
Yeah, so if right after that, you can just put item.placeholder in there.
Oh, we have to build. I understand. So we're building out the whole thing.
The template. Yep.
I get it.
Yeah. So let's make our lives a little bit easier. And let's go into index.astro and let's make it open when a user focuses on autocomplete. So as a prop, we're just going to have open on focus, which is camel cased inside of our autocomplete.
Open on focus.
Yep. And let's do one other thing to make our users' lives a little bit easier.
Okay.
Let's make it so that we automatically select the first item in autocomplete.
Okay.
So we'll do default active item ID. It's a mouthful. And that's going to be equal to curly braces 0. That's going to get the first item. So we're not filtering on this yet. And that's a stretch goal I've got to filter this. But right now, if you were to type /slap, doesn't actually matter, but /slap space, your email address, nothing will happen, but it's here and it's ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to tell autocomplete what to do with this information.
Yep.
So what we can do is the overall source. So this one big source that we have, the actions source, can have an on select method as one of its items.
Okay. Do I put that in as an item?
So that will be no, it's outside of
on
so right. Let's do
here?
right above get items. Yeah, so it's outside of your get items call.
Okay.
Yep, I think that's where we need to be. You can pass in some parameters. I just pass in params, and that's going to give us a couple things that we can use to do some stuff with. So inside this, we're going to destructure params into item and set query. These are two things that we get directly out of autocomplete. The first one is the item that's being selected, and the second one is a way of setting our query. We're going to set our query back to 0, back to nothing when a user selects.
Okay.
So then we can use these two things. So the first thing we're going to do is actually call item.onSelect and pass those parameters in as well. We don't have this method yet, but we're going to make this method in our data.
Okay.
And then after that, set query to a blank string. And that will basically remove the query because after you've sent it, we don't want it in there anymore.
Gotcha.
So now we need to go add that on select onto our data, right?
Right. And is that in the here?
That's in the get items. Yep. That'll be the third property on this. Is this could be a method. Yep, exactly.
And then that gets params.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I'm looking at my advanced one, but basically at this point, we can do whatever we need to with that. So the item, or got myself backwards. So a couple things that we get out of by default in autocomplete. The first of which is in our get items call or our get sources call, we can actually pass in the query, and we do need the query that's being sent.
We need the query that's being sent. So like
so
here?
It's in an object exactly right there.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can use that to filter things if we want to, but we're actually going to use this to get what the user typed in.
Gotcha.
And we're going to pull out and split on that query the label and the thing that came after it. So inside of our onSelect, set up a ticket ID or an email or something like that. Const email equals query.split. And then we're going to split it on this dot label. So we're currently inside of this big object. The label is what we want to split on.
Okay.
And then label plus a space. Right?
Okay.
Is this making sense? Like we're going to find the label plus a space.
So what we're getting is the query is like this whole thing, /slap space email. And what we're doing here is, we're going
to get the second item that has. It gives us an array, and we're actually getting the second item on this. So the first index of that. Or
like that.
Okay. I have never destructured like that. Never thought about doing an array like that. That's exactly what we need. Yeah.
Okay.
I put a bracket 1 at the end, but I'm old school, I guess.
I get you. Yeah. This destructuring is really helpful because if you just put a comma, it skips. It's nice when you're just trying to dump something.
Yeah. So that's what we need. That's the email address of the user. And then let's console log it, make sure we get it. But then we can send that as a fetch over to your function.
Okay. So here we go. We're going to console log the email, which means I'm going to come out here and we're going to slap. And then when I hit enter, go to my
console.
Ta-da!
There it is. Yep. So we can do a lot of things around that. So that basically all we have to do is send that as a post request, or send it however you need to send it to your.
Wait, we can just do that right here.
Yeah, inside this function.
Oh, okay. Chaos is suddenly available to me, and I'm very excited about it. Okay, all right, okay. So we can then just do like a fetch request. Can we make this async? Like, can I async this and await things?
If we're in, I don't think we're inside of. Yeah, I don't know. Give it a shot. I have never tried that, but absolutely.
All right, let's see what happens. So I'm going to async this, and so we'll get some data. We'll await the fetch, and we need to fetch API. Got to look at the name of this again. It was claim swag. Claim swag, and then that's going to be method post, and we'll send in our headers of content type. I don't think we actually need this. I feel like I'm just making my life hard by having to type out application JSON.
Isn't it safer this way?
Then safety. That's not how we do things on this stream. So we're going to stringify the email. Okay. Yep. And so what should happen then is we'll get the res.
Well, you're awaiting right now. Do you need to be doing it then?
Yeah, because otherwise we would have to do like data and then JSON. Like await res.json. So this should get us back just the data, at which point we can console log data.
Perfect.
And theoretically speaking, this will call our function. So let's give it a shot.
I don't know if async is going to work. Let's give it a shot. I definitely went into thenable hell. That's for sure.
It works, y'all.
Look at that.
Look at that. Try. We are claiming swag through a command bar. That's dope. That's really nice that just worked.
So should we go for swag points? Or do we need to do other things? Do we want to like have a message appear? What do we need to do?
I want to do so many things. What can we do? Take me on an adventure, Brian.
So why don't we first make sure that we have a function that you can use later to do some sort of notification, because that's good user experience, right?
Yeah.
So let's just have inside of our component, like outside, like in the component file, you could be a good clean person and move it into like a utils folder. But let's just toss a function here, a show message function.
Show message.
So we can do something with it.
Like up here, you mean? Yeah,
up there. Or I mean, you could technically put it inside of the source, but I think we might want to reuse it if, say, we did another action.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. Okay, so we can theoretically make this work, and
Yep.
so we want to show
For
something.
me, I just have a console log, right? It's kind of dependent on how you want to integrate it with the rest of your Astro project. But yeah, console log the message, and we can basically pass in what you get back from your function. That way, if it errors, even we get the error into the console as well.
Okay. All right. So then down here, instead of this, we run show message.
Yep.
All right. And so functionally, this isn't going to change very much, but we will
exactly.
slap. And we get a message, and the message comes back with a coupon code. And yeah, there we go. So that could be, we could do a lot to like display that on screen and stuff. I wonder if, one way we could do this is there are a lot of options for what we could do. I think the challenge is that we didn't this was not an app that was built with like scalable architecture in mind, or like trying to figure out how to fit it. It was like, okay, let's see if we can solve this problem, right? So this is what I would consider like an MVP of an app. So there's some things that we don't know how they're going to work. Like, could we get other parts of the app to fire off? Like maybe, probably, I don't know. We could see.
Dangerous words.
Yeah, right. So I'm kind of curious. Like, there are a few things that we've done here. The one that's getting me a little bit is when I run this.
Yep.
Like, it empties.
Yeah.
Now, is this the sort of thing where so we've got kind of a general command bar. Is this the sort of thing that so we could style this up to like only show when we use the Command K shortcut? We could do other things too. So like, I guess maybe a better question is for you. What do you want to try next? What should we try to add here?
I've got 3 options that I'm semi-prepared for, but we can also go completely AWOL and all that. But a few things we could do. We could make sure that as we type, it is actually filtering and we are highlighting what the user's typing. We could integrate and get some other Netlify or Jamstack swag appearing in there. We could also add another action that could fire off the work that you're doing with Kelly for the second area down below, right? The ability to have a swag pack.
Oh, I see what you mean. So we could
have like a /pack command.
Yeah. You know what might be interesting actually? What if using that as a kind of, oh, look, we have a z-index problem. Yeah. That's fine. We can live with that for now. Yeah. But what would be interesting is like, could we get it so that when you use the coupon code, we could throw it into the cart?
Yeah. I mean, basically anything's possible in that on select, right? We can, as soon as we get the response back, we can update that.
Yeah. What should that on select be inside of get sources? Let's go back and look.
Yep. So there are, again, naming's hard, right? There are 2 on selects we're talking about. One is a method provided by the autocomplete library, and that is the method that fires inside of a source, right? Right now we have one source that has one item. We fire that method, and you can do anything you want at that point. But we need to fire a specific command based on the data that we have. So in this case, we set a new method on each item specifically that will fire when a user selects an option in autocomplete.
Gotcha.
And that will happen if a user clicks on it. It will happen if a user keyboard navigates to it and hits enter. It has a few different ways of firing. So that's why on select versus like on click or versus on something else.
Got it. Okay. So basically we're giving the item an on select, and then we're defining that on select here.
Yep. And that allows us to have multiple commands that do whatever each command needs to do. It doesn't shoehorn us into one thing to happen when the select method is called, when the on select method is called.
So there's a lot of flexibility in this, and that's, I think, what's exciting is when we get into this on select, that's basically somebody like clicking a button. So this can do anything that you could do in a click handler.
Yep.
And that is really exciting because it basically means that if you've written click handlers, you could just reuse them. So click this button to claim your code, or use the command thing, and we can, call the click handler with the email. That is really exciting, I think. Like for me at least, the part about this that gets really cool and where I feel like there's so much potential is, you can build these really complex interfaces. And for me, like, I'm a power user, right? Like I'm a keyboard shortcut guy. I like using keyboard shortcuts. I love the I use Alfred is the one that I use most of the time, and it's got all these things that I can do. Like I can run snippets, and I can do standby text to things that I do all the time, right? And there's all these things that are available through this sort of keyboard shortcut of command bar. Really, really, really nice. And then
can I blow your mind real fast, Jason? Can I interrupt and blow your mind real fast?
Yes.
Not something for today, but this is all inside of a search box, right? Which is a very it's a command palette plus search and plus whatever else you've got. But what if your search box was actually in a rich text field? And what if your search box appeared when you said the character @ and all of a sudden it was searching for people that you could mention or documents that you could mention?
So the way that it works on Twitter.
Yep. So we actually have a piece of documentation that covers creating Twitter's @mention stuff. And Sarah Dayan, who was on was on with Jason before talking about autocomplete, is writing even more around it to go even further and talk about how Notion does it, how all these big companies are doing it, and it's all can be powered by Autocomplete.js. So it's what happens when you take a search box and you make it this inside of a text field. A lot of things can happen, and anything that can happen in JavaScript can happen. So it's pretty cool.
It's really cool. I mean, it shows I think the part that's really exciting about this is that it's an abstraction that's simple enough. Okay, simple is maybe a loaded word.
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot, right?
There's a lot that goes into configuration, but in terms of presentation, when we look at what we're actually building here, it's not much. It's, there's some we can style that up however we need to, and we're using this theme, but we could dig into this and figure out how to change the theme and make this look however we wanted. So right now it's, if I just want to dig in here a little bit and figure out what's going on, we can click on it, and here's the autocomplete. All right, so these are all the things that are happening here. If I want to add some new styles, I can do a width 300. Oops. Well, if I had a unit to it, right? Okay. So now we've got this, right? And it's so we can just go in and kind of make this stuff work, and it works the way that we want it to work. You can also remap all the classes that autocomplete creates for you to other class names. And so if you were using Tailwind or something that came with a built-in input kind of look and feel, you could have all those map over to whatever pattern library, design library you're using. Yeah, this is really good. I see Phil is in the chat right now talking about his imagination is popping, and mine too. So another thing that could potentially happen is right now you can run sound effects on my stream, and a while back we started out this prototype of allowing people who are subscribers to log into a private dashboard. And one thing that would be really cool, it'd be fun to do a soundboard, but right now there are dozens of sound effects for my show, and people only remember 3 of them. But trying to lay all that out is not great. So is there a way that we could use this autocomplete to let somebody select the sound effect they want to play? The answer is absolutely yes.
Yes.
And that's just not something.
And the great thing is it's all about discovering power. Yeah, well, can't please everyone all the time. Come on. I love the sound effects. I don't know.
All right, I think I need adult supervision here.
Usually I'm the adult in the room. This is no good.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many good opportunities for just making your apps a little bit better. And and here's the thing that's important. You're already pulling this data together. you already made the list of posts. You already made the list of commands. Like that data got pulled from somewhere.
Yep.
So if we just feed it into this items array, right? So we drop it into get items, and we can put the data in here. And then, for each of these, this on select could be a function that we define outside, and then we reference, at which point we have made a we can do some really, really powerful stuff here. And as you said, this is just an action, right? We could do a whole other set of sources. So like this could be action. So you want to run commands. I want to, I don't know, if you're a mod, like I want to get a list of subscribers or something. If you are any subscriber level, you can get a list of sound effects. If you want to search episodes, you could do that as well. Like there's just so many things that suddenly become possible.
And if you put it outside of a subscriber only login, right? But had the ability to log in, you could showcase commands that people don't have access to, but could if they subscribed. So you could gray it out, make it inactive, and then a user knows, oh, well, if I want to interrupt Jason constantly, I can subscribe and I can get these actions. But again, it's all about like showing what's possible to the end user and being like, hey, wouldn't you like to use your Prime subscription on Learn with Jason? Come on.
That's true. The Prime subscription, it costs you nothing if you're already a Prime user. And I get like $1, and that helps me pay for the live captioning that we've got going. It helps me do things like make these rubber ducks. Have you seen my corgi ducks? If you can buy these. I made so very many of these, and you can get them now. So if you want to go over to the store and get yourself a rainbow corgi, that's a thing you can do, and your subscriptions make that possible.
So Jason, I don't have this, right? But I did a little prep work, and I made an Algolia index of some swag with Netlify.
Okay.
I should have used your swag. That would have been more fun. Come on, corgi toys. But we could kind of showcase what that might look like. 17 minutes, like
we got 17 minutes. What do you think, chat? 17 minutes to victory. I say we do it.
All right. I'm going to definitely need my cheat sheet on this one, but we're going to use a couple new things, and we are going to need to install some stuff.
Okay, I'm ready.
Actually, I say stuff. I think we only need to install one more thing, and that's going to be Algolia search.
Okay, npm install Algolia search like all that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So we're going to basically autocomplete works with any Java, with any API, right, or static data, as we've seen. But we have a couple helper methods for Algolia. It's an Algolia open source library, and it also does some extra like batching and some other stuff with the requests, stuff that goes way over my head. But it's nice. It keeps things fast. Is a big thing for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to initialize a search client to actually make calls to an Algolia index and display the items in the index alongside our actions. Okay. So if you missed your opportunity to get a slap bracelet, right? Maybe you want a Netlify t-shirt, right? So you can display that next to it. And even if it says like sold out in our command, like there are these other things in there as well. So we can do kind of the dirty version of this. So let's go ahead and import at the top of our component. Import get Algolia results, camel case inside of an object. And this is going to come from the autocomplete library. So I suppose we could have put it up above, but this should work. And then
we'll make it work.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Like you ta-da'd, and I didn't even see the comment yet. And we need to import Algolia search from Algolia search, but we're not going to do it from the full Algolia search library. We're going to do it from Algolia search /lite. And this is the query only This is the query only part of it. Okay. So you don't need the entire library. It's got a lot of additional stuff for like writing data and all that. We want the likes, so it'll be faster, right?
Got it.
Speed. And then we need to initialize that search client. So let's make a new variable right under our imports, const search client equals Algolia search. And then that's going to take 2 arguments. And actually, I'm going to send these to you real fast. And I trust chat well enough, so it doesn't need to be in an environment variable.
Okay.
These are actually both publicly available and would go into a build process anyway.
Okay.
This is the
this is going to be a fun part because I have to go between two computers. So we're going to do it's okay. We're going to do this really fast. I can type very fast.
This is not going to okay.
4 8Y GWI. Okay, good. One down. Next.
Do you need me to paste this somewhere else, Jason? Because this next one's
252979. It's happening. It's happening. F55A.
Everyone should be rooting Jason on in chat right now. This is rough. I see what he has to type.
CE 0ADB 8F.
You know, it's actually in the repository you have on your computer.
I'm sure.
Oh, cool. You told me that now.
Doing that I've completely gone off the rails about.
Okay. So that's like 80% certain that's going to work.
Yeah. Two things happening there. One is my app ID in Algolia, and the other one is the search only API key. So
that's like a read only key.
It's read only. You can't do anything malicious. You can rack up maybe some charges, but I work at Algolia. They'll strike them for me. It's fine. Hopefully,
that sounds like a dare. Don't do that, chat. Don't take that dare.
All right. So we've initialized this, right? So we have a search client. We have a new method from Autocomplete that is the get Algolia results. We need to do something with that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to add a new source. So in our get sources array,
okay,
we're going to add a new source. Yep. And this one, let's give it a source ID of swag, because this is swag. It doesn't really matter. It's just a unique identifier.
Got it.
Yep. And then we need to do a get items call here. So same as before, it's just function. And then we're going to return the get Algolia results method. And we're going to pass that a configuration object. So first we're going to pass it the search client that we just created. And then we're going to pass it a set of queries.
Okay.
So this is an array. And so we're going to do an object, and we're only going to pass it one query, and it's going to pass an index name, which I called this index swag. So inside of my Algolia dashboard, I have an index called this.
Okay.
We pass it the query that we get from our get sources so that Algolia knows what the query is. And then we can pass it any number of parameters, which I don't actually think that we need to worry about right now. So let's just leave that and see if we get it okay. So
wait, that's it?
I'm double checking, but I'm pretty sure. Search client, queries, and then we also need to set up our template. We haven't done template yet. So let's do 2 templates on this one.
Okay, so templates.
Yep. So let's start with a header this time so that we can separate things out and let the user know what's what.
Okay.
So we have actions. Now let's set up a header and let's return like an H2 or an H3 or something like that. So inside this, header parentheses. So a header function.
Okay.
Yep. And then just return H2 probably. And let's just say more swag or something like that.
Okay.
So that will literally separate things out and be an H2. And then let's set up our item 1 as well. So we're going to pass 2 things into or one object with 2 things.
Okay.
So item is going to have the item. We need all the item information. And then there's also, for Algolia results, we have additional components. And those components will do things like automatically highlight our text, automatically do things for us.
Okay.
So we need these 2 things, and then we're going to return in. So we need components.
What is it? Sorry, what was the second thing?
Yeah. Components.
Components.
Yeah, naming.
Okay.
All right. So let's just go ahead and return out. We're going to return, I did just an anchor with an href of the item.url, which is in my index. I went to the Netlify swag store. I grabbed 3 items and I made objects for them inside of my index. So item.url, and that's going to send people there. Let's go ahead and close our anchor. We can put a title if we need to and all that. And then inside this, instead of grabbing the item dot title, which we could do and it would display, let's go ahead and make sure that as a user types, we highlight this. So let's do a component called components.highlight. So left angle bracket, components.highlight, highlights capital H. Okay. It's going to accept 2 props. It's a self-closing tag. Thank you, VS Code.
Got it.
Yep. It's going to take a hit, which is what we call a search result coming back. That hit is going to be the item, the entire item object. And then it takes an attribute, and that attribute is going to be an attribute of that object. So in this case, I have a title that is the title of the swag.
Like this?
Attribute equals a string of title. Exactly.
Okay.
And then close your anchor on the other side if it's not, you can't see. And
was I supposed to add a highlight? Or it already does highlight?
It's highlighting for you because you're using components.highlight.
Oh, I understand. So it's smart. I don't have to build this out.
Exactly. Now we could go build this out. Part of what we could have done is build this out for our actions, but I think this is more interesting. So save it, and I'm gonna cross my fingers, and hopefully we didn't break things. We broke things. So let's take a look at console and see what we got.
It doesn't like templates.item is not a function.
What?
Is it supposed to be items?
Items.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Right?
Drag. No, I fixed you.
No, it's item. It is item. As templates, and we have templates. Templates is not an array. Sorry, it's one big object. I should have caught that earlier. One big object that has multiple things inside of it.
So
Yep.
That's what I screwed up.
Yeah.
Like this?
Yes, if everything is lining up properly.
Okay.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Hey, look at it go. Beauty.
So now
All
we
right.
have our actions and 3 additional pieces of swag in case people are disappointed that they can't get their slap bracelet.
And if
you
I
can
click
actually
that,
Yep.
it goes right over.
Now, one thing that we're missing, and we'll do this real fast because you can't actually keyboard navigate right now and have it work. So if you navigate down to Netlify sticker packs and hit enter, nothing will happen. We need to tell it what to use when that happens.
Okay.
So inside of our where'd it go? I'm terrible at syntax, so I always have to have my cheat sheet handy. Let's see. We need a get URL, get item URL.
In templates?
Inside of our source. So inside of source ID swag, we're going to use the method get item URL. So I would just do it like right after and then that's going to take as an argument an object that we need an item off of. We need the item, and then we return item.url. And that's going to tell autocomplete where to send people when it's selected. So now, yep.
Ta-da!
So now all these power user things are within the keyboard, right? You don't have to move outside of it. Fully accessible at that point. You don't have to worry about that. So it's all ready to go.
And
so
I just like tabbed through to get to all the things that I needed so we can go.
You don't even have to tab though. You could also use your arrows. So
right. Sorry. Let me rephrase. I came out here and like tabbed through the site to get to the autocomplete.
There it is.
And so now I can do my arrows to get around, hit enter, we drop in, ba-bam. This is great.
And also start type in Netlify.
Yep. That's nice.
So we're getting that kind of out of the box. We don't get that out of the box. We didn't do a filter on our actions.
Can we?
But we
got 7 minutes, 6 minutes. Do we have time?
We have to write some regex. Are you prepared for that?
I'm always ready for regex. Who's ready for regex? Here we go.
All right. So
let's make it happen.
So we're gonna get a little hairy. On our
not me.
Me too. Right. I have this. I had the cheat sheet because I need the cheat sheet for it. So basically, in our actions get items, we're returning an array, right? And so we're going to set up a filter on that array. So at the end of that, and we're going to grab not the item. We actually want to destructure the item just to the label because all we need is the label for this. And then we're going to need to test it against a pattern.
Oh, I'm so ready for this. Label dot match. And we're going to do something like this. We'll go.
I'm going to just step back. This is how I have it, but go for it.
Okay. So what we should be able to do, right, is just go query dot. Is it just this? Is query just the string?
Query. Yeah, it should just be the string, I think.
Okay. So we're going to do just the query. But that's not going to work because we want it to be like new regex. And we'll do it like this. And then we'll set it up with the query. Right? So we go query and then we pass in the flags of case insensitive, and
that should be the only flag we need.
And that was 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Huh?
Except for
this is gonna work on the first try. Nope, it's broken. I broke it.
Yep. So
Dot filter is not a function. What? Don't you lie to me.
You're not on the array. The dot filter needs to be on.
It is on the array.
We're on get Algolia results. We don't want to be on that one. We want to be on our actions.
We want to be on.
So inside our slap, right? This where the slap is.
Actions is.
So you've minimized it, right? It's right in the first get sources. I'm pointing. You can't see where I'm pointing. It's fine.
Okay, so I have this one get
that's
items.
Beating you. Yep. So at the end of this get items array, that's what you want to filter. You're filtering that.
Here
array.
we're filtering.
Yes. So we lose it from that one, but now if you type slap, let's see if that works.
Okay, so that's only filtering this get items, but it's not filtering this get items.
But Algolia is filtering the other get items. Algolia is handling all of that based on our index rules. It should be, at least. What was it not?
It is. Okay. I didn't realize that. Yep. Okay, I understand. So if I say netlify, there's netlify in the description, which I assume is matching. So it's like,
is it though? Yeah, I'm not.
I wonder where it's coming from. Maybe it's in the URL and it's matching the URL.
Oh, that might be. I haven't configured this index really, and you can do a whole bunch of stuff in the configuration to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen.
But like if we type slap, we can see the command and the swag item. Yep. So we've got our filtering working. We have a pretty basic regular expression going there. Dope. This is dope.
Yeah. And again, like Phil said in chat earlier, like I'm not going to say the possibilities are limitless because you're still limited by a whole bunch, but like there's a lot of weird stuff you could do. And I say weird because I feel like this audience is the right one to like talk. Like there's some weird stuff you can get into with this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what I love about this is like the happy path here is really happy. Like let's go look. If we go in here and we look for Sarah Dayan, this is like the happy path here. There is a Netlify plugin for Algolia that if you add this build plugin to your site, it will automatically, the build plugin is linked down here so you can see here, this Netlify plugin. If you add this Netlify plugin, any site that deploys through Netlify will automatically generate an index. You don't have to configure it. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to do anything. Then you add that index the way that we added our index here. You do the search client and the key, the read-only key, and then you just drop that sucker in right here, right? Yep. So we drop that sucker in, we put in the index name, which gets auto-generated, so you go find that in your app. And then you just drop it. Like this is bog standard theme classic Algolia autocomplete with that index. I wrote maybe 10, 15 lines of code to get this running. And now you can like search you can just do whatever. Like I added an alias here so that if you search doofus, it's my name, right? Like,
and look, it's even highlighting everywhere.
Yeah,
right? Jason is highlighted everywhere for doofus.
This is such a powerful and such a fast thing to do. And then if we want to go deeper, if we want to jump off the deep end, we can. And with that, we got 1 minute left. So Rob, sorry, Brian. Jeez, what a day. You're not Kelly, you're not Rob, you're Brian. Oh my God. It's been a long day. So Brian, where should people go if they want more?
So more from Algolia, twitter.com/Algolia or algolia.com. And actually, since I think Ben is in chat talking about Slinkity, check out Doc Search. For those of you who do open source and now technical content, if you're making technical content, you can use Doc Search. We can get you set up. It does some scraping. It does some other stuff for you. It gives you a search right out of the box. So definitely check that out if you're doing technical authoring or docs. And then twitter.com/brob for me. And be on the lookout. We're going to be doing a lot more around super user stuff for autocomplete with Sarah. in the next few weeks. There's even a CSS Tricks article coming that's going to be really interesting.
Absolutely. So y'all, today is the last one we're doing for today, but it's not the end of this app. So on Wednesday, Nathaniel Okenwa's coming back. He's wonderful. If you haven't seen him, he's been on the stream before. And we are going to use the SendGrid API, which is part of Twilio, to send confirmation emails to anybody who orders. And then we're also going to have Ben Vinegar from Sentry, and we're going to set up some error monitoring on our app. But that's not all that's happening this week. We've got Jennifer Wadella coming tomorrow. We're going to do dev workflow optimization. So I saw people asking about my VS Code plugins and like my CLI setup. That's what we're talking about tomorrow. So if you're interested in that stuff, come through. Jennifer is brilliant. She's really funny, and she's going to talk about how we can boost our productivity by setting up our environment. Then we've got Thursday. We're going to do color contrast and accessibility with Todd Libby. You may know Todd Libby from eating lobster rolls bigger than an average human baby. He's also a great accessibility enthusiast and expert. And then on Friday, we've got Aisha Blake, who is one of my favorite people in the whole world. If you've never seen her, she is a delight. So make sure you join. And we're going to add observability to Jamstack sites using New Relic, which is very cool. Observability is one of those things that's a little head bendy. But oh my goodness, what a week, y'all. Make sure you head over here and add it to calendar so that you can see when these are happening and that you don't miss one. It'll adjust for your time zone so that you know exactly what's going on. And with that, we're out of time. We're over time. Oh my goodness. Brian, thank you so much for helping us out. Y'all, thank you so much for hanging out for a 3-hour marathon. We really appreciate you. Thank you to White Coat Captioning for sticking through, and to Diane for running those captions all day. Thank you to the sponsors, as always, who make the captioning. You know, Jamstack Conf made this possible. Oh God! Inception. We've got the captioning that we've also, you know, Netlify kicks in, Fauna, Auth0, all kicking in to make this show more accessible to more people, which I really appreciate. And with that, we are done. Brian, thank you so much. Chat, thank you so much. We'll see you next time.